Hey everybody, how we doing today? So welcome to Sight Fishing 101 number 5. Go slow, go fast. We're out here in the back country, sitting in one of the islands, got the wind coming over the island, so I'm kind of in the wind blocked here, so you can see how it's kind of ripply out there, but very calm and very clear right along the inside. All right, so when we're talking about sight fishing, basically going slow is too fast, going really slow is good, and stopping is the best. So basically, as you're moving along today, we're going to be working these leeward side of the island, the wind protected side. You can see how it's very calm and clear on over here, but as soon as you get onto the edge, it starts getting more ripply. That's because the wind is blowing over. So we're going to use the island as shelter and work these edges. Now we want to go really slow and analyze all these little points where fish can be hiding. And that's why the slower you go, the better, because it's very easy to miss the fish because they blend in. You're just looking for that little tail flick, just that outline of a tail or fin, or just a head sitting behind a log there. Okay, it's very rarely the whole fish is just sitting out in open water like this. So we want to do is, one strategy is to go very slow and analyze every little thing as we go, making sure that we don't scare those fish so we see them before they see us. So then we could drop anchor, get our rod geared up with the right lure or bait that we're going to use, and then make that excellent presentation. So that's the go slow part, and that's kind of the 75% of what you'll utilize. Then we'll go fast, and I'll show you what that's all about. Kudas, a lot of glass minnows all along here, so there'll be stuff kind of hanging out. But let's do some go slow paddling along this leeward side edge. See a little cuda there, so you don't really see it. I see the shadow before I saw the fish. But we want to be very careful in our propulsion method. So as I'm paddling, I want to try to minimize my splash. Same thing if you're using a push pole. Use it correctly. You're not banging around, you're not really jabbing the ground and sending out vibrations. You want the minimal amount of splash, but you just want to keep working nice and slow, looking into the shadows as best as you can, all the underhangings there. Like I said, they're rarely out in the middle. However, I'm always looking there, and then I'll take a glance out in front of me just in case there's not one sitting out there in the current looking for some food, because that will happen as well. So those little log overhang in the shadows there's a nice little ambush spot. Plus it keeps them out of the current, so they like that. Another cuda there coming up, check us out. And we're just looking for those body shapes. So there's a lot of little mangrove snappers in there. Take advantage of when you see the white sands to really take a look at those, because that makes it a little bit easier to see anything, but most of the time they're tucked away in deeper. Right now the water is pretty high. You can see by the mangroves there. So the fish can get way in there. You see that green tree there? They probably can traverse the whole island if they wanted to, because the water's up. But we're still just kind of going, looking underneath, especially in the shallows there. I see a little shadow, and there's a cuda there. Can't really see the cuda, but I can see his shadow. All these are sardines. Those are great bait. Cigar minnows. And especially in these little cubby holes like this, because they're wind breaks, they're current breaks, and they tend to be little fish highways. So I'm just kind of drifting in here, looking for any little bodies, because even though you look in from one side, doesn't mean if you don't look at a different angle you're going to see more and possibly see that tail, that head, or that fin. Have your anchor ready or something to stop you, because as you're moving forward you see something, and if you can't stop you're going to run right into them and spook them. Looking underneath there, So very important, go slow, take your time, analyze every little piece, because like I said, they can go way up in there. And a lot of times I'll find the juvenile tarpon, they go behind all these trees into a little opening. I can't really see them, but I can hear them, and then they'll come in and then go out. So I'll just sit and wait for them. They're in there gurgling and playing, but every once in a while they'll run out, and then I'll get my shot. So we'll just keep working this edge. And I mean, it took us that long just to get from there to here, but you got to take your time. The key thing is to see them, but see them before they see you. See these puffs of sand? That is a fish seeing me before I saw them. So they were sitting in this pothole here, and they either heard me, saw me, and then just jetted out there, and their tail kicked up that dust. All those tarpon. Oh, dang it. All right inside that bottom pocket there. I was going slow, but I got too close. See if they kick out. That's what you're looking for. You can see how close I was. I wasn't really paying attention, but I knew there'd be stuff in here. I was more concerned about finding stuff in this little cut here, because a lot of times, because of this current wraparound, I'll find like redfish and snook out. So I took the gamble and stayed in close so I could see out, and then I missed a dozen tarpon. Oh, they're right behind me though. Right there. So they're doing what I had predicted that they would do, but just a little bit later. And with that, I'm going to input that information into my brain database. So I'm looking at this tide, or upper column higher tide. Tide's running this way. I've got wind coming this way, and all those tarpon were tucked under that one tree there next to this channel. And when I spooked them out of there, they ended up just inside here. And I think they're still around this vicinity, so. But yep, gonna remember that spot. Okay, right underneath that branch there's another tarpon. Big old ray came by. I actually passed it, and then it came and stuck his nose out. Let's see if I can get him to come back out there. You're in there, I saw you. He's right underneath inside there, but like I said, they can go. I couldn't launch. Oh, there he is, right there. See him there? It's kind of glittering there. Yep, he's there. Oh, there's that sand kicked out. I think that was him saying, I see you too. Now these rubbish areas here, these are kind of my snook spots, but one thing that you want to make sure you do is work against the current, because the fish will tend to lay up head facing the current. So if we are coming up this way against the current, the fish tend to be facing that direction, and we have less risk of spooking them. This instance, I've got wind and current, so it's rough, but got to do what you got to do. Plus high tide, so it's definitely not the best conditions, but we're finding fish, so it works. Now I've come back where I saw that tarpon hiding in this bush. Oh, there he is. Came out right there. 2 of them. 3 of them, 4 of them. And that's exactly why we do this way. That spooked them, but so there's a whole school of them in there. Get them happy. So as I was coming, I saw that one hidden right back in the shadows, and that's the one I kind of looked at, but then I didn't mess with them right away based on the fact that I didn't want to spook them. So I continued up, hit the rest of this area here, gave it time to settle down, and then I came back, and now they're there. They're not scared. It looks like they chomped up what I threw in there, so maybe I'll drift the bait back in there and see if one will bite. So I'm actually re-rigging. I'm going to put a circle hook on, and I still see them still swimming around there. They're happy. They're looking for more pilchards, but because I'm taking my time, I don't have to rush it because I didn't spook them, so I have enough time to even re-rig. All right, and we'll put on one of these little pilchards I have. Nice live one, or a nice live shrimp would definitely work very well, but this is what I got. This is going to be bad because my rods are there, but all right, let's see. Just drift it back in there. Oh, one came, and he already got it. He's eating it. He's got it. There we go. There. Oh, there we go. Oh, he's getting underneath there. Got to keep him out of there. Nope, nope, don't go in there. Not allowed in there. All right, now he's right there. I don't know what to do. Oh, I got to turn him. All right, well, that kind of worked out, but my battery died right in the middle of that fight. Perfect timing. And then I ended up breaking them off. It broke my braid, so I had a weak spot. But regardless, that is going slow. That is exactly how it needs to work out. So as I was working my way against the current, against the wind, it's a hassle, but it allows me to go very slow, looking inside behind every leaf, every twig, looking in those shadows and taking my time. I basically spotted that tarpon, just kind of, it didn't look right. It was way back in there. It was in the dark shadows, but I saw a kind of a darker form that was a little bit different. It was a little bit darker. So I was able to focus in on it, and then boom, yeah, that was a tarpon there. So instead of just like panicking, trying to grab a rod and just throwing a bait in there, I just said, okay, no worries. I just kept on scootering on up and then just worked the edge here. And then once I finished that, okay, gave them about 15 minutes, then I'll come on back. I anchored up well above where they're at, so I wasn't going to spook them. I cheated a little bit, but I am chum daddy. Threw a couple of pieces of bait out there to see what happens, and about a half dozen of those tarpons moved out. So they were just tucked way back underneath this big old mangrove tree. And then from there, I knew they weren't aware of I was there, so I swapped out one of my rigs to just a circle hook and took my time, no rush, put out there and hooked up with the tarpon. So that's exactly how that slow and stopping is so important for the sight fishing game. So you spot that fish, definitely if you see them before they see you, you can take your time and just make the perfect presentation so you get that hookup. But now let's look at the next option, which is the go fast mode, and let me explain that. All right, we're back where we started. We just completed the go slow motion. Very, very effective. Found 2 spots that had tarpon sitting on them. I just let them be and kept on going my merry way. Got to the end point where I wanted to go. Came back, anchored up, threw out a couple of pilchards to sweeten the pot, and jumped to 2 tarpon, a huge Goliath grouper, and a shark in that one spot. And I bet you if I would have stayed there, I could have just kept catching tarpon after tarpon, because I was pretty far upstream that I don't think that they even noticed I was there. They just know something was odd, but I think they would have came back. Then surprisingly enough, which my mistake, I drifted past that first spot where I saw that half dozen of tarpons sitting underneath that small tree, and they were there still because I drifted past them not thinking they'd be there. And when I got even to it and almost past it, I looked back and yep, they were still there. And then I spooked them out of there. but they keep on going back. So I think I could still go back there now and work on those. But still, I want to start going over the next mode, which is the go fast. Now, what the go fast does is kind of like how I do prospecting, and it's not really looking to catch fish. It's to find spots and to find fish and know where those spots are. Why that's important is, unless you have unbelievable amounts of patience and unbelievable amounts of time, there's no way that you can really effectively cover a lot of areas. In here, like for example, in the Big Pine area, Middle Keys, there's hundreds of islands all over here, and for you to work as slow as I did, it would take you years to cover just once all those spots. Whereas the way I'm going to do it now is this island, the section that I did, is probably about 1/20th of the size of this entire island, and I spent probably about an hour. Now I'm going to do the 1/19th of the rest of the island in probably a total of 1 hour. And the way I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up the motor, and I'm just going to scoot right along the edge, okay, and just kind of not super fast, but just pretty good clip, fast enough where I could still see, and just kind of move through there. And what I'm wanting to do is scare fish, and that's going to do basically two main things. One is to give you practice so that you can start seeing some fish. So yeah, you can be aware that they're there, kind of get the gist of what they look like. A good example is permit. To see your first permit, it's almost the best way to do it is don't try to catch one, try to run over one. And eventually you'll start seeing them and you'll see what they look like. Then when you're targeting them, it becomes easier because you can identify them and you know what to look for. Same thing, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for tarpon and redfish and snook and kudas and mangroves getting scared of me and jetting out of there, because it's a lot easier to see fish when they're moving than when they're hiding out under the mangroves in the shadows, behind a log, mixed in the grass and so forth. So we're going to try to scare up some fish, and that's going to give us confidence knowing that there are fish. So when we go back to our slow mode, you're going to be like, I know there are fish here, so I'm going to be able to focus and I need to see those fish. The second part of it is kind of what I showed you with the slow fishing is when you find those spots, okay, you can go back to them, give them 15 minutes, give them half an hour, come back the next day, and there's a good chance their fish are going to be there again. All right, and that's how you learn these spots. And then when you come back to those areas, you know, this whole stretch in this area, there's nothing there, not even gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna go to those pockets where I saw those two pockets where I saw those tarpon, and most likely they're gonna be there again in those same conditions, because had those overhanging mangroves, had that current kind of coming over that corner there, and it was just a perfect spot there. And I have a feeling that I'm going to find them there every time I'm in this similar conditions. And I'm just going to go through and go really slow and possibly even stop and chum those areas just to be sure they're just not out of my view. So that's what we're going to do around here, is I'm going to just kind of motor around looking to scare up fish and see what I see. When I see one, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep going, but I'm going to mark it in my mind. I'm going to look back. I'm going to see what landmarks I can remember so I can come back and hit those spots. And that's our fast mode. All right, so I'm moving along. I'm seeing all these kudas. Look at all those kudas there. Kudas. So I'm just working this edge, and then those kudas are good. Well, there's glass minnows, more kudas there. So as I'm coming, that movement makes them kick out. Movement there. So I'm seeing all these areas, all these little pockets. I really have to keep my eyes open, but it's so much easier to see those fish as I'm coming along here. Even though it's really deep, I'll see them because that motion, their tail is moving, the shadows there, I could just see them so much more. Mud kicked out there, or something was there. And I'm just looking for bigger bodies. And then if you've done your practice where you identify body shapes, this is where it really comes in handy. So you know that those were kudas or a shark. Oh no, a log. Whoa, hit it. There's a deep corner right here. I bet you that's a mangrove hotspot there. Look how much deeper it is over here because that current hits it and makes a big undercut right there. So you get really good current through here. So I guarantee you I could just limit out in mangrove snappers here. I want to look in these trees, see if I kick anything out. Anytime I see these points, I want to flush stuff out of there. And then I want to make sure I'm not looking over here, because a lot of times they'll start swimming out over here because they hear me coming. I'm just working right along the edge here. I'm just fanning, looking for bodies. I can also tell right away areas that are not going to hold fish. This is all silty, sandy buildup, weed buildup. So not going to be much over here in these pockets. However, I do see an inlet that goes right across the island, and that looks interesting. Little kudas, but this is all that really not so. Oh, there was something there. Probably a big kuda. But I'm still looking for movement, but I'd really bypass this area here. But I saw that inlet over here, that looks interesting. There's another inlet there, cuts across the island. There's a nicer sized kudas, a couple of them. Yeah, these are a little bigger ones. More kid size, not even teenagers. So that's a good inlet there. That's something good because it goes all the way to the other side. Those are good mangrove spots. Now the fast strategy works really well on the flats as well. I do this all the time. Right now I'm letting the wind just basically push me at a very good clip. And again, I'm trying to actually scare up bonefish, permit, or whatever that's out here, kudas, so that I could see. And basically I'll just kind of like remember what zone I found them. And then especially if I start running into 2, 3, 4 different schools of them, then I'll just like, whoa, this is like a really hot area. Then I'll stop and go to the slow mode for that rest of that area. Or I'll put it in the back of my mind and come back in 15 minutes, an hour, the next day. And before I get to that area, really take my time, based on the fact that is a very fishy area, and most of the time fish are there for a reason, especially when you run into multiple schools in a certain area here. So if I'm drifting this area and I start seeing a bunch of big kudas here, I know that's going to be the spot. Same thing with the bonefish and permit, they tend to follow patterns. So down in the lower keys, I have bonefish spots and permit spots that I could be fairly reliable and know that I'm going to get my shots every time I go to them under the right conditions. So although before I was running along the mangroves, working these flats, same thing. All right, we're back to our starting point. I made the run around the rest of the leeward side of the island. It took me about maybe 10 minutes to do that. Found a lot of areas where it was just silty, dead bottom. So a lot of the bays around here were like that. So I know really not going to find very much fish there. I did find a couple of channels that go through the island, which will be very good. Also, I saw at the far end where the tip comes to a point there, there's a ton of current that rips around that edge. Nice cut there. So be some mangrove spots and then kuda spots and probably permit spots as well. Came back along the flats. Lots and lots of nice healthy turtle grass. Not the best for flats fishing because for me it's harder to see the fish. So there's no like broken bottom, sandy areas where I might see stuff. So not my choice of flats there. But yeah, just really quick, I got this island laid out. I have basically 10 to 12 spots that I'm going to come back to. I'll disregard all those areas that I didn't like, and I'll just put all my time in those specific areas there. And I think my odds of catching drastically improved because I have things narrowed down. I've seen fish, I know where their fish are at, I'll have the confidence to take my time. I know the kind of the patterns of where they're at, how they're laying up, and what works to catch them. So I'm golden there. I've got a few spots. So that's kind of the benefits of the slow method versus the fast method. They work in conjunction with each other. I definitely, like I do my prospecting, I'll do a circumnavigate an island first, and then I'll go back after half an hour that it takes me to go around. I'll go back to those spots that I thought looked fishy and put quality time into them. Then if I catch fish or I see fish, then I definitely know they're there, and the next time I come, boom, those are the spots that I'm hitting. So very effective way to kind of cut things down, to make them more fish catching percentage rate higher. Keeps you motivated, that you know that you're in fishy areas, that there are fish there, and gives you the opportunity to see fish. Even though you're not actually fishing for them, you get to see them moving, you get to see their patterns, what they look like. And again, that confidence thing is a huge. But anyways, that is Sight Fishing 101 number 5. Go slow, go fast. So anyways, if you want to see all the fish that I caught today, I saw probably 100 tarpon, a bunch of snooks, a few redfish. So a very busy day, jumped a lot of tarpon. So my next video will show you that. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully you got something out of it, and keep an eye out for Sight Fishing 101 number 6. All right, bye.